Hello everyone, I'm Oscar Karnalim from Maranatha Christian University, Indonesia. And on this occasion, I will present our research entitled Online Learning for High Quality Education, Perspective of Indonesian Educators. I'm with Afifah Muharikah from Griffith University, Australia, and also Sunarto Natsir from Anadolu University, Turkey. So first of all is the background. Many face-to-face activities are replaced with the online ones due to the pandemic. And now, entering the post-pandemic era, some countries, including Indonesia, consider combining both online and on-site learning. Why? So that in case such unprecedented event happens again, transitioning can be less challenging. This kind of learning can also afford to obtain most benefits of both learning paradigms. Educators play an important role in combining online with on-site learning in Indonesia. They interact directly to the technology and guide the students to do so. It is important to consider their perspective in designing such combination in Indonesia. Few similar studies have been conducted, but they are overly specific to a particular education level or a particular subject. So, as the contribution, we summarize Indonesian educators' perspective about the matter from all education levels. Educators were asked about how online learning can contribute to high-quality education, as defined in United Nations SDG 4, via a questionnaire survey. While the findings are specific to a particular country, which is Indonesia in this case, we believe they can be somewhat relevant to other countries as well, especially developing countries. As the method, so we have 16 questions. The first question is about education level at which they are teaching. The rest are Likert scale questions specifically curated from SDG 4 targets. So for these questions, respondents show their agreement toward a particular statement as strongly disagree, disagree, agree, and strongly agree. The questions can be seen in the paper. The survey was distributed via social media platforms such as WhatsApp. And in total, we have 210 responses for the study. So this is the proportion of respondents based on education level at which they are teaching. So many of them are from secondary education, followed by primary education, university education, early childhood, vocational, and the last one is others, which cover private teaching and something like that. Now we'll move to the analysis. So first we will discuss key O2 and key O3. So based on these questions, some respondents argue that designing online learning activities is easier than designing the offline ones, while others think the opposite. So it is like comparable. Why? Because this is expected as online learning activities can be like varied. It requires some degree of technology skill, and not all educators and students have that, especially those in rural areas. So teachers in rural areas may have difficulties, while teachers in large cities, they don't have a problem with that. This becomes more complicated as in those areas, internet connection is relatively slower and unstable. Next is key O4 to key O7. So many respondents disagree that online learning offers positive impact on discussions among students, student understanding, interactions between students and educators, and active engagements. There are three possible reasons. First, many educators and students are not used to online learning. And while transitioning to online learning, they just convert their old on-site learning style. Second, online interaction are naturally more limited than the on-site ones. For example, educators cannot fully monitor student interaction during online teaching. Third, online learning has more distractions, given that both educators and students do that from home. Next is Key 08 and Key 09. So most respondents agreed that their awareness of technology is improved because of online learning. Online learning encourages both educators and students to learn technologies, since otherwise they are not able to do teaching activities. Next is Key 10. So Key 10 is about student inclusion, and nearly 3/4 of the respondents disagree that online learning is more inclusive. This is quite unexpected, given that students with disabilities or students with uncommon background, for example, from broken family, are perceived equal to other students in online environment. Perhaps many educators tend to help the students via physical interactions and care. Next, Key 11 and Key 12. So they're about the impact of information and software from internet to improve student literacy and numeracy. This statement is agreed by many respondents, 74% and 70% respectively. So students are more aware of technology, as we can see in Key 08 and Key 09, and that makes them easier to search and use information from the internet. They can also use software to support their learning activities. Next is Key 13. So around 2/3 of respondents disagree that in online learning, student grades reflect their actual competence. This is quite expected because completion of exams and assessments are less monitored in online environment. Next is Key 14. So it is about whether the respondent's institution facilitates online learning. This is agreed by 69 respondents. So many Indonesian educators are supported by their own institutions in conducting online learning. Next is Key 15 and Key 16. They are about benefits of online scholarship for students. So both are agreed by many respondents because online courses enable both students and educators to study without the need to allocate some funds in travel and accommodation, because sometimes they can be expensive. So as the conclusion, compared to on-site learning, online learning seems more beneficial, but it is perceived to lack in the teaching presence, accommodating the need of vulnerable students, and promoting student integrity. So in other words, there is a need to first inform educators about interactive tools to promote their presence, like Kahoot, quizzes, and Google Apps. Second, to educate them about how to help vulnerable students in online environment. And third, to use automated tools to maintain academic integrity, like Turnitin or Grammarly. As the future work, we will group the responses based on their education level at which they are teaching and see whether the findings are somewhat consistent across education levels. We are also interested to do such analysis on educators teaching in urban areas with those teaching in rural areas. Thank you. In case you have any questions, you can contact me by email.